The room was dark, save for the faint glow of the city lights filtering through the curtains. Outside, the rain fell in torrents, creating a rhythmic symphony that played against the windows. Inside, the air was thick with tension. Maria, the maid, stood frozen at the door, her eyes wide with disbelief as she overheard the conversation in the next room. Her heart pounded in her chest, a wild drumbeat that matched the storm's frenzy outside. Subscribe, comment, and like the video if you want to hear more about the incredible story unfolding, the voice on the video she had just paused asked. Maria felt a chill run down her spine. She had stumbled upon something extraordinary, something she was never meant to hear. Her grandmother, the sweet, gentle woman who had raised her, had once tamed a mafia boss. The voices continued, hushed and intense. Maria pressed herself closer to the door, straining to catch every word. The speaker was an older man, his voice gravelly and filled with a mix of reverence and fear. She walked into the lion's den, you know. No one thought she'd make it out alive. There was a pause, and Maria could almost feel the weight of the story pressing down on her. But she did, the man continued, his voice tinged with awe. Not only did she survive, she walked out with his respect. Maria's mind raced. How was this possible? Her grandmother, with her warm smiles and kind eyes, had never spoken of such things. She was the family's rock, the one who kept everything together with love and patience. But this was a side of her grandmother that Maria had never imagined. In the kitchen, the old clock ticked loudly, each second stretching into eternity as Maria tried to process what she had just learned. She needed to know more. She needed to understand how her grandmother had once been involved with such dangerous people. More importantly, she needed to understand why. Remember to subscribe, comment, and like if you want to see the next chapter of this breathtaking tale, the video urged again, pulling Maria from her thoughts. She had to find out more, not just for herself, but for her grandmother's legacy. The next day, Maria visited her grandmother. The older woman was sitting in her favorite chair, knitting a scarf with nimble fingers. Her eyes lit up when she saw Maria, and she patted the seat next to her. "Come, sit," she said with a warm smile. Maria sat, her mind still buzzing with questions. She watched her grandmother for a moment, trying to reconcile the image of the gentle woman before her with the formidable figure she had heard about. "Grandma," she began, her voice hesitant, "I heard something yesterday. About you." Her grandmother's hands paused mid-stitch, and she looked up, her eyes sharp and knowing. "What did you hear, my dear?" Maria took a deep breath, her heart pounding. "About the mafia boss. About how you tamed him." Silence stretched between them, punctuated only by the ticking clock. Her grandmother sighed, setting her knitting aside. There was a flicker of something in her eyes, pain, perhaps, or maybe just the weight of old memories. "I suppose it was only a matter of time before you found out." Maria leaned forward, her curiosity burning. "How? How did you do it?" Her grandmother leaned back in her chair, her gaze distant as if she were looking back through the years. "It was a long time ago," she said softly, "in a world very different from the one you know now."
Maria listened intently as her grandmother began to weave her tale, her voice steady and calm. "I was young, not much older than you are now. I had just moved to the city, full of dreams and ambition. But life was not kind, and I soon found myself in a dire situation." Her grandmother's eyes darkened as she spoke, the memories clearly vivid even after all these years. "I had borrowed money from the wrong people, thinking I could pay them back quickly. But things didn't go as planned." Maria nodded, her heart aching for the young woman her grandmother had once been. "What happened?" Her grandmother's gaze met hers, filled with a steely resolve that Maria had never noticed before. "I was given a choice, run and hide for the rest of my life, or face the man they called the boss." Maria's breath caught in her throat. "And you chose to face him?" Her grandmother nodded, a faint smile playing on her lips. "I did. I walked into his office, my heart in my throat, determined to make him see me as more than just a scared girl who owed him money." Maria could barely imagine the courage it must have taken to confront such a dangerous man. "What did you say to him?" Her grandmother chuckled softly, her eyes twinkling with mischief. "I told him the truth. That I had made a mistake, but I intended to pay him back every cent. I also told him that if he didn't give me a chance, he would lose out on a valuable asset." Maria raised her eyebrows, impressed despite herself. "And he listened?" Her grandmother nodded, her expression thoughtful. "He did. I think he was amused by my audacity. But more than that, I think he respected it. He gave me a job in his organization, a chance to prove myself." Maria shook her head in wonder. "I can't believe it. You, working for the mafia." Her grandmother laughed, the sound rich and full of life. Not exactly the career I had planned, but it taught me a great deal about respect and loyalty. Maria leaned back, her mind a whirlwind of thoughts. She had always known her grandmother was special, but this story had revealed a depth of character she had never fully appreciated. "You really are incredible," she said, her voice filled with admiration. Her grandmother patted her hand, her eyes soft with affection. "I'm just me, Maria. But remember, sometimes the most ordinary people have the most extraordinary stories." Maria nodded, a sense of pride swelling in her chest. She knew she had only scratched the surface of her grandmother's past, and there was so much more to learn. But for now, she was content to sit quietly, listening to the rain as her grandmother picked up her knitting once more, the room filled with a peace that only comes from understanding. And as she sat there, she couldn't help but think of the people who would be as captivated by this story as she was. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like if you want to hear more about this incredible journey, she thought, wanting others to share in the awe and inspiration she felt.